everybody. Welcome to Improv FAQ at Length. This is a series of longer conversations about improv topics that have lots of questions surrounding them. I'm James Quesada.
And I'm Bob Wick.
And this episode is going to be one of our show and tell episodes where we talk about shows that we've been a part of and what we learned from the process and performance of them, the show run. And this episode is going to be about a show called Secrets. And this is one of the very first shows that I directed. And Bob was in the cast. So we both have experience with all parts of the show, the rehearsal process and the running of the show. Yeah. And it was really fun. It was one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
For sure. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, me too.
So for starters, the brief description of the show is, first of all, the kind of context for why this show came to be is that every year in Ferndale, which is where in Michigan Go Comedy Improv Theater is, and that was the venue for the show, Ferndale does a program called Ferndale Reads, and they do all sorts of programming around advocacy for reading, and one of the things they do is select a book of the year, and in this case the book was called Annie's Ghosts by Steve Luxenberg, and along with the programming that the Ferndale Reads does, Go Comedy, being in the same neighborhood as the library that puts on the program, the theater puts on an improvised show inspired by the themes of whatever the book selection is for that year. So Annie's Ghosts was the book for the year, and it's a book about the author after his mother passes, finding out that he had an aunt that he never knew about, and investigating why he never knew about this aunt. Our show, called Secrets, was a group of 5 improvisers in the cast who we all made part of the fictional family of the Luxemburgs. And the 5 of them were getting together to talk about the secret that had been revealed about their family, and then vow to hold no more secrets from each other as siblings. And then the rest of the show would be the siblings finding out what secrets they've don't already
been hiding from each other.
That they've been hiding from each other. And the content of those secrets would come from audience suggestions. We would have slips of paper that I, as the director, would fill out with audience members before the show, and then each performer would have one of those slips of paper, and then in equal increments throughout the show would sort of do this little reveal of what their secret is, and then we would see the backstory of that secret.
Yeah, it's very dramatic because they were all in envelopes, so you'd have to and also we were pimping each other out, so it would be like I wouldn't read my own secret; I would read the one for like Heather.
Oh yeah.
But it was
I forgot that they were in
audience,
envelopes.
yeah.
They weren't just like full slips of paper in your pocket. I put them in envelopes with people's names on them. Right. And then I would go backstage with the sealed envelopes, and you had to pick an envelope that had somebody else's name on it. So if you picked Heather's, then you were revealing a secret about Heather at some point during the show, which we can get into the mechanics of it, because I totally forgot about that, but that'll be fun to talk about exactly how that worked. But yeah. The Ferndale Reads is a very cool program, and I think it's such a cool thing that they do with having this book featured for the month or for the year of programming, and then having Go Comedy do a show as part of the program. I think that's such a cool idea. One of the things that's really challenging about it is that the books tend to be really dark,
dramatic and dark, and like, yeah, because they did Bird Box one year. This would have been our second one that we did together. The first one was Laughter House 5, which is a pretty dark book.
Yeah, Slaughterhouse 5 from Kurt Vonnegut was
yeah.
one
Oh
year.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the show was called Laughter House 5, and
Yes,
which we've
yeah.
talked about on this show before.
Correct.
But all those books have really dark themes to them, so it's tough to. This one was
Yeah.
like autobiographical too. It was like
Yeah.
the author journaling his investigation into his unknown aunt, and
Who was
and,
in like an insane asylum, right? Like she
Yeah,
was in
yeah,
Eloise. Yeah.
yeah, so pretty heavy subject matter. And the book is
Right.
really great, but it's also like we basically tried to you have to like strip away the like on the nose content so that you're not being disrespectful to the subject matter or the author, especially in the autobiographical instance. And so we just went with the general idea of a family that has secrets, and then we had fun with what those secrets were, as opposed to trying to tackle.
Yeah, and the fact that they were very fictional secrets made it often also softened the blow. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
hey, you have a long lost aunt. It's an Eloise. Like, okay, I guess we're diving into this.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it would be like we try to find things like what's something ridiculous that you would collect or be obsessed with, or some. I would talk with audience members about like what's something like sort of fun but embarrassing, maybe something that as a kid that you hid from your parents, like sneaking out and going to a concert, and then we would try to mix that with like heightened elements or details. Yeah, let's try to remember together the rehearsal process, because it's
Good. Just right before that, though, I remember because we did Laughter House the previous year, and I knew that you got the directing role for this one, so I was hoping I'd get to, because we had so much fun the previous year. I was hoping to get to do the show, but I didn't expect anything. And when you decided who your cast was, you were calling everybody individually, and I think Heather and I were doing like a road gig together, and we were carpooling. And she's like, yeah, oh, I got great news. James called me before I got in the car, and I'm being in this cast, and I'm going to be in the, and I was just like, oh, that, because I'm not going to be shitty. She's my friend and I love her. So I'm not going to be like, oh, that's cool. Like, oh, that's awesome. But inside, like, oh man, maybe next year.
And then did I call you like
next day?
Soon after? Next day? Okay.
Yeah, next day.
That's funny.
Because I think because you were you managing at Go at the time or something?
Yes.
I think you knew that I was going to be out that night, so you didn't call
Okay.
me. You called me like the next day while I was at work, and I was like, oh, yes, thank you.
Gotcha. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So the cast was you, Gary Lehman, who directed Laughter House 5 the year before, and you and I were in that cast.
Yes.
So Heather Gary, Heather Sanau, who's been on this show before, and then Michelle Girlando and Jeremy St. Martin were the other two. And yeah, the way that it works is a pretty short turnaround, because I think I don't know how soon they announce the book selection, but I think it was only like 2 months before the show run, which was in April 2014, and we did 4 or 5. I think it was actually 5 shows, because there were 5 Wednesdays in April that year. So we did. It was definitely 5 because. No. Sorry,
Each of us. No.
No, I'm thinking of Laughter House 5.
Yes. Yeah.
Never mind. Scratch that. It was still definitely 5. Or wait, am I getting this? Let me backtrack again, because 5 weeks would mean that each of you would do the intro, or did Jeremy St. Martin always do the intro?
I think Jeremy always did this intro because he was really good at it.
Okay, whatever. It was 5. It was 5 weeks. It's an hour-long show, and in April, so we in like February, I got asked to direct it, and I had to read the book like quick. Like, and it's not super long. It's like 300 or 400 pages, but it's not like for having to like read it, get what it's about, the context, and then build a show around it. Was a pretty tight turnaround, and then we did like 8 weeks of rehearsal, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. I think those were like Sunday rehearsals or something like that.
Yeah,
like one of those Saturday, Sunday two-piecers.
yeah. And I honestly can't remember if there's a story behind how we came up with that format. I just I think that we knew that we wanted to do something with secrets and siblings revealing secrets, and I think we just played around with different ways of doing that. Do you remember any specifics about how
I was
we
going
came
to
up with
say, I think I remember you having the form. I think it took us a couple weeks to figure out how to reveal the secrets. I think that was something you wanted to work on. I knew, but the gist of it, of the five of us being in the same location, talking about this, kind of like improvising the story of why we're there, and and then trying to pimp something into the first secret, and then like do it. I think the transitions is what we had to work on the most. Everything else was pretty much in place by the time you started the first rehearsal.
Yeah. And so actually, yeah, the I think setting up the context is definitely something that we workshopped, and what we ended up having to do is we wanted to establish that these were siblings who were getting together at their deceased parents' estate, which was willed to Jeremy.
Just Jeremy.
Jeremy only as like the favorite child. So we wanted to establish that, and we wanted to establish that they hadn't seen each other in a while, and they were getting together to like make amends because Jeremy wrote this book about the family secret, and then they're getting together to make amends and vow to have no more secrets from each other. So it's a decent amount to establish, and the way that we decided to do it was, one, we had Jeremy come out on stage and give a monologue to the audience, explaining what the backstory was of the family parents' secret. And then at the top of the show, we had unscripted beats that you guys would play through, riffing with each other as siblings and establishing that you're kind of mad at each other, and that the house goes to Jeremy, and that makes you jealous. And then, well, I'll tell you what, from now on, let's have no more secrets, right?
Yes. And then we take turns kind of like pushing someone forward, revealing their secret. They would give a small monologue on why that's a secret they wanted to keep and what the situation was. And then we'd kind of play with that, almost like a day in a life type situation or nightmare.
Flashback montage. And so we get these suggestions of what would be a silly secret from the audience. Again, pre-show, I would write them down, put them in the envelopes, and then the way that the reveal happens, like you said, is if you have Heather's secret, you would be like, oh, if we're talking no more secrets, then guess what? I guess Heather needs to come forward about this. And then you would open your envelope, you would read it for the first time, and be like, Heather once stole like 10 cars and went on 10 joyrides or whatever,
gone in 60 seconds. Yeah.
yeah. Heather was the source material for Gone in 60 Seconds. But then so you would reveal that, and then part of the having fun with it is that everyone would gasp dramatically. And then the tech was that we would put a spotlight on Heather or whoever's secret just got revealed. They would step into the spotlight and then give their little mini monologue about just a little tiny segue into like, it was a time when I was just looking for thrills or whatever, and then set up the flashback. You guys would clear the stage of the chair setup, and then do a series of telling that story in a flashback until the stage manager pulled lights. And then you would come back to present day in the house being like, wow, Heather, I can't believe you kept that from us. and then Heather, and then it become a relay, right? Where then Heather would be like, yeah, I would have liked to have kept it secret for the rest of my life, thank you. But if we're outing people for secrets, here's one about Jeremy, and then rinse and repeat, right?
Yeah. And plus there was an element, I don't know why we did this, if it was part of the book or something, but we established that it was taking the scene with all the family members was taking place in like a parlor type deal with alcohol. So we would always get drinks. And then throughout the thing, we would slightly get drunker every time we came back to the family, which I always love that element. I love like, and then by the time we're done, like, oh yeah, well, if Heather can still, what about Gary? You know?
Yeah. I can't really remember why that was. If to the best of my memory, the reason that we did that is because we needed some way to heighten the arc of that source scene, so that by the end
to show that time has passed too. I think that was part of it.
That's right. Yeah. So time has passed and we're heightening the energy. Yeah. And so by the end of it, you can all have this big drunken cheers of like, no more secrets. Yeah.
I forgot about the cheers. The cheers is great.
Yeah. So this was the first show that I directed. So I'm trying to think of my biggest takeaways in working on it. I think in just the rehearsal process, like, I think one thing was definitely that for especially for a 45-minute long show, how much an intro can really help. And like a character intro, Gary had used the same device for our show the previous year for Laughter House. And so I was like, an intro can really set things up. And we used a string quartet tribute to whatever that secret song is. Gonna give all your secrets away. Do you remember that?
I don't think that's in my wheelhouse. I'm sorry.
It's not. I don't think it's Imagine Dragons. Maybe it is, but it's this like do 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 do, and there was like a violin. But it set the tone. Jeremy had his monologue in character as Jeremy Luxembourg instead of Jeremy St. Martin. And then the other thing that was really interesting to like learn about or play with was the idea of like re-improvising these beats. Had you done something like that before? Like where you're kind of like going through the same beats, but it can happen in different orders and from different people?
I don't think I have. Like, I think the closest thing I've ever done was like either This Is Your Nightmare or what's that? The other one where we go through your day.
Day in the Life?
Day in the Life. Yeah, thank you. Me not remembering a name. But yeah, I don't think until then, like I did a show with that. We might have done a set with those kind of elements, but never like this is our goal. So I thought that was a lot of fun. I do like that though. Have you ever seen that? Oh God, what is that? That show that was on Comedy Central, and it had a lot of great improvisers on it. But I think it was called Review, where the guy was reviewing things, and his first one's like, "I'm going to review using Coke," but for the rest of the seasons, he was a Coke addict because he got addicted during that one. So you keep like the next episode.
Oh, okay, keep building.
Like, yeah, I'm going to try what's divorce like. So now he has a Coke problem and he's been divorced. So he's got that depression, and that helps him, his character make decisions and stuff like that. It's all filtered through everything that has been established stays true throughout the thing. And I really enjoyed that kind of play because so many times in like, in an improv scene, you'll see someone, for example, do, some Coke, that old chestnut. And it's like 5 seconds of someone being high on Coke, and then it stops. Like they got really bad Coke or something.
That's funny. That's one of those things where like I would bet like definitely the majority of improvisers have had a moment where they've had to been like, okay, here's my Coke impression, and then bump the invisible line and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
That old chestnut, as you say. Yeah, and
That
then when
old chestnut.
but yeah, so having to carry on things that get established from like show to
Yeah.
show is super interesting. Which we didn't do. We wiped the slate.
Yeah, you wiped the slate. Yeah, you shook the extra sketch between sets, which I think is good because like unless someone's watching like for that show review, like you have the opportunity to watch all those shows. Like
Yeah,
a live audience doesn't, and I've done shows
yeah,
where we
yeah,
try to do that kind of mechanism, and I think doing callbacks to previous shows doesn't always work unless it's something like someone can go back and make a reference to, you know, or watch the reference material.
yeah. That's true. Um, yeah. So that was something unique, is just to play around with the idea of like re-improvising beats and having that same establishment happen every time before the rest of the show launched. Um, and then let's talk about the show run, which I remember being just really great. Like, I think the turnout was like decent. But the again, we've talked about how Laughter House was each of our like first time doing, we're like long form 45-minute show as like one character. And Secret Secrets was like that as well. You all got to play your source character, the Luxembourg character, and then when you did these flashbacks, you would get to play ensemble support characters and mix it up. So, you know, whoever's flashback we're in stays the same as that anchor character, but then everyone else gets to play different characters. So you kind of get both worlds going on. It's like you get your steady character, recurring character for the arc of the show, but you also get to get in some different characters. How was that for you in your memory?
Oh, I loved it because every week you knew you were going to play a main character. So that kind of took like, it was a relief because you didn't have to worry about anybody not getting their chance to play the lead. Like everybody's going to have their moment. And because we're following that person's lead, it's almost, you get to see like their style of play, and just you know, the secondary characters, you get to heighten that. So it's kind of cool to play in someone else's world. Kind of like that. What is that movie? The Three Rooms movie where each room's a different director.
It's like a Stephen King thing. Is that a more recent?
Oh,
one?
No. It's like I think it's like Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, and I forgot who the third person is.
Yes, I do. I know what you're talking about. I don't know what it's called, but yeah.
And the only thing that connects it is like the bellhop, and he just goes through all these. Right. And I like that kind of play. Like because I guess it forces everybody to just play and let someone lead. And it was really fun for that. And then because you know you're going to have your moment to lead as well. So that's cool. I just really enjoyed that kind of that dance, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think it made for really interesting shows with a lot of variety.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and I think that it was just nice to see, like I said, like everybody play the kind of like consistency close to self, because like the Luxembourg characters were just like you with a different last name.
Yeah.
Your first name was the same, and so that's what I remember being really really nice. Is just like seeing a different pace too, more like subtlety or subtext, I guess, that made things funny, especially like if you go into the flashback and you've established this secret, and then in the flashback you've got your Bob Luxembourg character, and then like Gary Luxembourg is also in the flashback, and you guys are like, you know, teenagers growing up in the same house, you know, young siblings versions of yourselves. There's just like different I don't know, you get to assume a lot more from the fact that you've already established everything, right? And you get to just like play without rushing to add those like premise and who, what, where onto things. It really cool.
Makes you force on to like, if the secret is what makes today different, you focus on that because everything else has been established during the source, or you know, I don't know. It's a really patient way to play, and I really enjoy that kind of style.
Yeah. I think it went well with the audience. I don't really remember any specific stories with the audience. I will say that that I had kind of a hard time and this is probably one of my learning points as a takeaway from working on the show, is like working with audience beforehand and trying to come up with secrets.
Yeah.
I think I'd be interested to see how it would develop the same concept if we were to if it were a more recurring run or ongoing indefinite run. Because for the 5 shows, as being my first directing experience, I really wanted the secrets to be good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I feel like I really overcoached some of the audience members that were just like, maybe they don't brush their teeth, and I would be like, oh yeah, and what else, or you know what I mean? I would just be like, yeah.
How long?
And I would kind of try to riff with them in a way that like felt like if I was going to give any input, it still felt like our idea by the end of it, so that they felt like they gave, that it was their suggestion. But I feel like I there were times that I overdid that and didn't trust that, like, no matter how simple or ordinary the secret was, that you guys as a cast were really where the thing comes into play, that you get to take it and run with it and build on it. It doesn't really matter what the suggestion is, as much as I was putting pressure on it to matter.
Well, I mean, I can see why someone would do that. I think it comes from a place of love. Like, you want to make this a fun experience and take care of your people. So you don't want them to get, a suggestion that might be a little blah. Oh, Heather, looks like, you don't change
wear
your socks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Heather. Yeah. Heather, you absolutely wear socks and they're clean. I know this.
Yes.
But that's the most mundane thing you could think of. Like,
yeah. But yeah, like, but the thing is, I appreciate you saying that defending that, but like realistically, it's me wanting to have like control, and like also not really understanding that, like, the most important thing about how you treat this secret is like, why would you keep that a secret? So even if it is kind of mundane and it's like so and so doesn't wear socks or only wears ankle socks, it's like the treatment of why someone would keep that a secret, discovering the reason behind it, is so much more powerful than the kickoff point.
No, obviously there's a comedic spin to like having something very mundane be like your darkest secret. I was just defending, like, I get why you would want to put more meat on that bone before serving it up.
Yeah, totally.
That old chestnut. You gotta put more meat on that bone. Here's a bone. Put the meat on it.
As we know, that's how all meat is prepared, is by starting with a bare bone and adding meat to it.
I don't know if we have any super fans yet, but if we do, please go back through all. Like, I want a book of Bobisms by the time we're done.
Yeah, a carrot at the end of the road. I think it was. I would be curious to know just supporters of the Ferndale Reads and people who like are there because they either know the author or love the book or just are supporting the library. Like, I wish I would have gotten feedback from those people about, like, did you like the silly thing we did with this? But I think that we at least served the tone. We gave a nod and like homage to the author. Yeah. And explored the idea of secrets. But beyond that, like, any detail of anything else was like really left behind. So I'd just be curious, like, what kind of show experience that is for audience who came because of the book.
I don't remember anything specific, but I do know that we got nothing but positive feedback. I think one of the feedbacks we got was they enjoyed how different things were because, this is a group of people who read the book. Why would they want like a reenactment? They would go see a play. And honestly, I think with the material that we put out before the show and and even the library is really good about, hey, this is just a reimagining. This is not going to be the play. This is going to be what improvisers do with it. So I think everybody was well informed before they walked in what to expect. So I think that was important. And I know like during like the Bird Box show, like the author, because he lives in Ferndale, was there like almost for every show and was giving out books and stuff. So I think everything was very positive.
Yeah. Yeah, usually it's just a supportive thing. I mean, like no matter what, the event is about supporting reading. So if we can like pull themes and just kind of show different ways that reading can like influence your imagination, great. I don't think there's any harsh criticism coming from such a positive program overall.
Yeah. I want to see the dead ants. And then like, no.
Not a single insane asylum.
Rubbish.
Yeah. Let's see. So the other thing of note is that we actually kept the show going after the main show closed. Yeah. We kept that show cast together as a troupe, and we adapted a
25-minute version of it. We had to shorten it for
and I think in that case we would get did we still get suggestions? I think we did get one suggestion from the audience.
Yeah, we only had time for one person to take the lead. So I think whoever was in the lead would do the intro, reveal their secret, and then we just show the consequences, or
we do one exploration, right?
Yeah, because that's all we had time for. Yeah.
But we would bounce back and forth though, right? We would do like if it was Michelle's secret, we would like follow Michelle, but then bounce back to the present and be like, and comment a little. I'd be like, oh my God, Michelle, like, why didn't you tell any of us that you needed the money or whatever? And then we would go back and explore further the same story, as opposed to the main show. Once we came back, we were done with it.
So I think the goal was to show the setup before the secret happened. The second beat would be the act of the secret. Like, so if it was, one time Michelle robbed a bank. So what made her, what situation put her into the mindset that she needed to rob a bank? Come back, go back, and then show her robbing the bank. Come back, go back, and see how it affected her character that she just successfully robbed the bank.
Yeah. And like where she's keeping the pile of money at that point or whatever. You just keep the narrative going.
What she's doing with the money.
Yeah. I think that we had, now that you mention that, I think we had those kind of mission statement goals too. I don't know if it was necessarily right out the gate in the main show, but at least by the time that we were doing the 25-minute version of it, I think it would be like, we want to know why they kept the secret and how they kept it secret.
Yes.
I think those were our two.
And if possible, the secret.
That's right. Yeah. If possible, we want to see the secret happen.
Right.
We want to explore why they kept it secret and how they kept it secret. Yeah.
Yes.
And again, I think we talked recently about like having a mission statement behind forms that like leaning into like what can you use as a philosophy of the form to like unpack, is like, why do people keep secrets? You know,
especially with the people you love,
Yeah.
And how come, and sometimes like, you think about like the psychological thing of stranger on a plane. It's easier to tell your secrets to a stranger on a plane than people you love. That's another element that we played a lot around with a lot because that's so interesting. Like it should be the opposite way, but for some reason, like you don't want to lose face, or you're going to be around these people forever.
Yeah. I do remember that being really fun because at that point, once it was after the main show, if all five of you were available to do a show, then I would sit out. I would get the suggestion for you, and hand it off before you got on stage. But if you were short numbers, I would get to hop in and actually play inside the show, which is really fun for me as well to play with you guys and also to get to feel from the other side what that form is like. That was also my first opportunity to be like, with every show that I'd done before that, I've always been really into forms, and if I came up with an idea, I would be testing it out for the first time with the people that are in the troupe. But this was the first time that I got to remove myself from creating a show, designing the form, see and just give it to other people to do with it what you will, and then join in on it after you guys have solidified what it is as performers.
That's got to feel different, like, because after you hand it off, you don't really have, I mean, you're still directors, so you have some control, but when you're in the thing, you have a little more. So how did that feel? That must have felt
it is weird. I think I never with you guys felt like you gave me any more weight. Sometimes I feel that with like troops that I've coached or shows that I've directed, if I play in, that people yield to me more than I would want them to, as like equal players, and that can be kind of weird. But I think with you guys, it felt like pretty equal, especially because like Gary had directed me before, and like Heather and I had a really long show process together, so we were just used to playing as peers. And Jeremy and Michelle are both like really strong improvisers. Michelle has like more experience than me, so it just there was lots of like equalizing things that helped more seamlessly jump in and play with you guys. So but it was just exciting more than weird to be like, I'm in it now. This is my version of me. This is the James Luxembourg. Cool. And
I always imagine to be like, if you baked a pie but you didn't get to eat any of it, like, I hope it's good.
yeah, that's true. And I think that what was really great too, though, is that you guys did something with it that I don't think that I would have been able to do, because again, a lot of you guys had more experience than me as an improviser, and I think and like I just got to see it evolve in a way that I think I would not have let it. It would have been different. I guess I can't really say if it would have been better or worse. I just was excited to see it evolve in a way that was different because I wasn't in it, and then join what that difference was, and that helped me actually like grow in this different path because you guys set the tone that I was joining. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Honestly, what I really liked, I think I kind of went into this before, but like, because of the way it was set up, everybody, we got to play in other people's sandboxes. It kind of pushed people out of their comfort zone. And like, there was a really good balance. Like, well, for most of this, I'm out of my comfort zone, but some of the time I'm in my comfort zone. So you got to see like, what it'd be like if you had to keep up with Heather and doing character work. Like that's a tall order, and that's a lot of fun. And there's people on that cast who I don't think are comfortable taking the lead. Like, I don't think Jeremy St. Martin wants to be the main character most of the time, but he does a fantastic job. He's a really strong performer. So like when he gets pushed into it, like he crushes it, and then it's just fun to see because it's usually something he wouldn't do for himself.
Totally. Yeah.
So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think of the checklist that we usually have going into these show and tell episodes, and I suppose the last thing is like the major takeaways, and if I had to do it again, what I would do differently or keep the same. And I would definitely, I think I was really proud with, again, that combination like intro and opening scene at the top. Do you think that that's too much? I guess I'm just talking through it now. Is like you got an intro and like setting the tone. Do you need both to give context, or is there?
Yeah, because especially for that library crowd, like just to solidify, like this is what we're doing, with the intro. I think that was really important. Just I don't know. I think it really set the table and the tone. and
Yeah.
then going into the Poller thing. That's more of a device rather than an intro. I would say, like, this is how we're gonna push. This is how we're gonna transition. So I think they're both were necessary.
Yeah, I think okay, yeah. I think what I really like about the combo is that as I think, if I'm not mistaken, as Jeremy was giving his intro to this string quartet thing, you guys would kind of file on and start setting up in half light, and then moving from that into lights up and Jeremy interacting with you guys. I think sort of set like the macabre tone of it, and I think that tone creates tension for you guys to break with these silly secrets. So I think the more that you can set that tone at the top, the better, because I think it, by contrast, creates bigger laughs once you're off and running.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the movie The Princess Bride. Like, we always go back to Fred Savage and Columbo, just sitting in his room reading a book. And then when we go to the actual story of The Princess Bride, like, you're going into this fantastic world. So it's like, it's a palate cleanser. It's a great transition.
So I would keep that the same. I really like that, and the spotlight transitions and everything. I think that those are really nice to give the show an aesthetic. I think what I would change is definitely the way. I would want to find a new way to get suggestions, or to just leave it more in the audience's hands to just like let go of steering audience suggestions, and instead just seeing what happens when it is up to the cast to emphasize the why and how the secret is kept.
Okay. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I mean, we're older now, so that makes sense.
Yeah. What about you? Any specific takeaways just from that show experience that we didn't talk about, or like if you were to play in another show like that, different ways that you would approach it, or want to make sure that you kept the same?
And honestly, I wouldn't change much, because I really enjoyed the experience. I thought we had a really tight cast. Yeah, I know. I guess when we transitioned from the longer version to the shorter version, me personally, I think I would have liked to had more rehearsals, possibly. I don't remember, and I could totally be remembering this wrong, but I don't think I felt like we really utilized that shorter time effectively, And maybe it's just a preference too. Like, I think I just really like the long shows. I like taking our time. I really enjoyed the pacing of the 45 minutes compared to the 25 minutes. So I don't know. Other than that, no, I really wouldn't change anything. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's tough when condensing the longer show down to a shorter one. Because it's by necessity too, right? It's like you can't get like Dave Powell said, you can't just be giving everybody 45 minutes of stage time. Because they're interested in what that feels like. But yeah, I think for sure rehearsals would be nice to adapt and condition.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, that is our show and tell on secrets. And thanks for listening.
A little meat on that bone, huh? All right.
Yeah. Check us out on YouTube. There's all sorts of content there, including more episodes like this one. We're starting to kind of like do more show and tells episodes, as well as like general topics of improv. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. We also have some Q&A, audience submitted questions. Check out the YouTube channel. Also check out our Facebook channel. And we exist on Instagram, but I'd say probably YouTube first.
Yeah, or Facebook. Probably be.
Those two, yeah. But yeah, and if you hate Facebook, YouTube's there for you.
Right.
Okay, great. Good talking to you, Bob, and thanks for joining.
Always a pleasure, man.
We will catch you next time on Improv FAQ at length.
Bye.